Hey guys, welcome to the shop. As you can see, I got a bunch of stuff lined up here for you. Got my chainsaws, I've got some other power tools. Today I'm going to be talking about some tools that you can use in your chainsaw carvings. Other things that are going to help add detail and help add personality to the pieces that you're creating. So be sure to stick around. Alright guys, like I said, thanks for joining me in the shop today. I'm just kind of going to share some of the tools that I have and, well, use probably the most. Now I have more saws than this and I've got more tools than these that I use in carving, but I kind of figured these would be the best ones to sort of share in this video. One of these days I'll shoot a video of my whole lineup, all my saws and all my bits and power tools that I use, over several different pieces and styles when I'm carving. Today though, I'm just going to be talking about what I've got lined up here for you. So, if you're new to carving or you're just getting into it, you might be wondering where you should start with a chainsaw. What saw you should start with. In my opinion, a great starter saw is the MS-170. It's cheap. It's just a great saw to get you started in a cheap way. You might spend $150, $170 on the saw. It's got a small bar on it to begin with. Now, this is not a 170, this is a 193, but the bar that's on it is very similar to the one that's going to come on the 170. Now, the 193 would be the next step up, in my opinion. If you wanted to spend a little bit more for your first saw, or maybe you've already purchased the 170, and you want to jump up to a saw that's lighter, handles a little bit better, then the 193 would be your next step. So back to the 170. Now I've got two MS-170s that I use often. The first one I converted into my detail saw. So what that means is I've added a dime tip bar to it. As you can see, this is an steel MS-170. And I've put a 12-inch dime tip bar. Now, this bar is what I use for fur and around the nose and the mouth and to do claws and detail work, kind of refine the piece after I've already blocked it out. Now, you don't have to jump right into putting a dime tip bar on. You can get most of the work done that you want with just the regular bar that comes on the saw. Again, that bar, looks like this. Now the MS-170 doesn't have a ton of power. It's a fairly small saw. I believe it's like less than 30 cc's. It's not very big. But if you're just starting to carve, it's great for blocking out small carvings and, just getting through it, getting started and learning. And that's just my opinion. So, I also feel like the MS-170 is pretty versatile. I mean, I've got the dime tip bar on here. You can leave the stock bar on. You can also get a power gouge. Now I ordered this power gouge off Etsy and it's been working pretty good, and I've got it mounted to my MS-170. Now when you change the bars or you put an attachment on, usually you do have to buy a certain kit for your sprocket, chain, and all that kind of stuff to meet up properly. So that's some research you guys would have to do when you go to make that conversion. So 170s, we talked about those. Great starter saw. Great saw for blocking small carvings and things like that. Alright, so maybe you're ready to step up the game and you want to do bigger carvings and you've realized the 170 just isn't quite cutting it. Literally, it's just not big enough, you need more power. That's when I jumped to the MS-250. Now the 250's got an 18-inch bar on it. You can see the saw's a bit bigger than the 170s. I'd say the power is pretty good. I use it quite often for blocking, and I like that saw a lot. Now, I did a review on that saw recently. You guys could check that out. Got a link popping up here. I like it though. I like it. I think it was worth the money. I use it often. I know that I've got some critics out there that really hate this saw and have had troubles with it, and that's a real bummer because I really like mine. The other saw I've got here I already talked about is the MS-193. So I've been doing this a while, saved my pennies, and I was able to step up to the 193 from the 170s. So I use this for little blocking and making smaller, finer cuts. One day I hope to get another one of these and add a dime tip bar to it, and then just keep this as a smaller blocking saw. But these are some great starter saws to get going in carving. Now we could jump on over here where I've got a few power tools lined up, and you can see I've got a torch and maybe a brush here. Now all these tools sort of go together, I think. You know, you're gonna start with your carving, get everything roughed out, and add your fur, and maybe get the eyebrows and the nose and the mouth, nails, all that done with your chainsaws. Now it does take practice and time, and when you get to that point though, you might say, I want this piece to be a little more refined. What can I use next to achieve that? So a great tool to add to your lineup is a die grinder. Now these are just some cheap die grinders that I have. These are from Harbor Freight. You know, I see the ranges anywhere from 50 to 70 bucks. So, you know, something like that. If you jump to like a Makita and things, you're going to spend a couple $100. That's on my list of things to buy here in the future. Now, these do work great, but the switches burn out. So when you buy these Harbor Freight tools, just get the warranty. I don't bother spending the money because, you know, that's just me. But if you guys, you know, buy them and you want to be able to replace them when the switch burns out, then buy the warranty that goes with it through Harbor Freight. These work great though. This one, I've got a Harbor Freight bit in it. It's kind of a tapered bit, might be a little tough there to see. I took that bit, I put it in this die grinder, and I put a ball bit in the other grinder. Now the ball's like a stone. You turn them both on and you hit the end of this, and it creates a groove on the inside. And I use this to put the little eyeballs in all my smaller carvings. Now when I jump to my bigger carvings, I'll grab my other die grinder, which has the Sabre-Tooth Flame Bit. This is a medium grit flame bit in here. The flame bit kind of has a bulb shape and then comes up to a point like a flame. And once you practice with it and you take some time practicing eyes and going around the nose and the mouth, this really becomes a great tool to have in your lineup for chainsaw carving. You can get in there and start doing the nails and start, you know, shaping fur a little bit differently and stuff once the chainsaw work is done. But this is something that I use on just about all my carvings now. If they're too big for the small eyes, I'm pretty much carving all my eyes out with this die grinder and the Sabre-Tooth Flame Bit. Now all the tools I'm mentioning, the attachments and all that stuff, I'm going to try to find links for you guys through Amazon, and I'll put those links in the description below. You guys can follow those links there, make purchases for these items or other items, and they will help support my channel. Moving on, a drill. A drill is another great tool to have. This is just the DeWalt that I've got, and what I mostly put in this is a flap sander. Now this here is just a small flap sander you can get right at the hardware store. What do we got? 120 grit. I'll use this for refining or getting up around the bear's snout and cleaning it up. Works great. I think a flap sander is something you guys should really have in your lineup of tools for chainsaw carving. Now you want to step it up to something where you can flap sand your whole piece a lot quicker. You want to look into the Sando Flex. So the Sando Flex has these long pieces that stick off to the side. Basically they're 1 inch wide sandpaper pieces. Now I don't know if it's Sando Flex company or another, but they do make refills you can just pop in here once these shred off and just disintegrate from use. I myself made a small attachment that goes in here, and I replace these myself. I buy a roll of 1 inch wide sandpaper made by DeWalt. I get 80 and I get 120 grit, and then I just put them on the little attachment I made and popped them in there. If that attachment is something you guys are interested in, let me know. I'm really considering, you know, making some of those, and I don't know, maybe getting them out to some of you guys if you're interested in that, and just we'll see how they work, you know. So give me a little feedback on that. Give me a feedback on this video. You know, if you guys got a question on some tools or something like that, just let me know, and I'll try to add to it. Hopefully down the road, like I said, I'll have an entire lineup of all my saws and all my bits and all the tools that I have that I use. Not always on the regular, but on the often for different carvings. So talk about saws, talk about power tools, talk about torches, just briefly. Now, after I carve, a lot of times what I'll do is I'll bust out a torch and I will burn the carving. I just burn the crap out of the whole thing. Then I'll come back through and maybe do the eyes and then worry about flap sanding. Now, with burning it, it really takes away the element of having to use an angle grinder to just sand the whole thing down. You can, and it can still be a good idea depending on the piece to do that to help get some shaping and rounding that you're looking for. If you're looking to just get rid of the fibers and the hairs that are sticking off all over, then burning it with the torch is a great idea. Obviously, you want to be away from all flammable materials and in a safe spot to do that. But other than that, it's a great tool to have. So when I first started carving, I was using just this little Benzomatic, quick torch. This will get the job done. It just takes a while to do so because it's just such a small flame, and it doesn't burn as hot as some others. But it will get the job done if you're on a little bit more of a budget. So the next torch that I have is this. And this goes down to a propane tank, 20-pound propane tank, comes up through this line and to this torch. Now you've got to have your little clicker thing here to ignite it. It's got some knobs here to turn it on and stuff. And this is also just propane. Now this burns really hot, and I'll tell you what, it does bears probably 10 times faster than that 1-pound torch. But you're gonna pay for it. This is a few $100 for this thing. This is something you got to save your pennies for. At least I had to save my pennies for, but I think it was really worth the purchase. So, all right, you got your torches. Once everything's burnt, you've got this residue all over. This black residue, soot, cinder from like the ash from burning the wood. And that's going to get all over your hands and stuff. So what I do is I take a hard bristle brush, something you can get right at the hardware store. You don't want it to be soft. You want to get a stiff bristle brush, and you're just going to scrub the crap out of your carving with this. And then you go back through and you could do the detail work with the power tools or flap sand it a little bit more and clean it up. But if you're going to be torching, this is another great tool to have. With doing all this stuff, it's important to have the proper PPE, personal protection equipment. I try to always stress in all my videos, it's important that you guys are wearing that and you're being safe. Safety is a big deal. You get hit with a chainsaw and you're not paying attention, that's going to make for a bad day. You let one of these grinders get away from you and it goes to your leg and you're not wearing your chaps, it's going to go through those anyway, but at least they might slow it down, give you a quick time to unplug it, something like that. So just make sure you guys are being safe, with all this stuff, a dust mask, some sort of shield, steel toe boots, chaps, whatever other safety gear you can think of. This is just kind of a quick video of some of the tools I use, some of the tools to maybe give a new or a beginner in carving just some insight is a few things they can look toward purchasing to put in their lineup of things to have. Boy. If you guys have any questions or comments, please, keep them directed toward this video and these tools, and I'll answer them the best that I can. If you guys are interested in helping support this channel and supporting my work and helping better these videos and help me get that much closer to making this a full-time gig, then check out my Patreon account. I've got one of those link things popping up here in the top corner. You guys can click that. You'll go there, and you can see what I have to offer. There's a few Patreon only exclusive videos. There's just some specials, so you guys can go there, check it out, see what I've got. But that's pretty much it for today. Thank you guys for watching. Be sure to stick around and check out some other videos I got popping up. And also give this video a thumbs up and hit subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.